where to go. They run out of room, and that's much more assertive defence there, really stepping up on that occasion, the Aussies.
Yeah, much better line speed from Australia. And this is a nice transition at the moment, although commentators curse, here we go in full force. Nice transition. No, it ain't. Ball goes to ground, and Japan have good field position right now.
Great way to start their set, and they endured so much in the opening 6 or 7 minutes here, Japan, before finally getting across the line. But since they have, it's been very much a seesawing battle here, with both sides picking up good meterage. And now once more, Kuraishi looking dangerous here toward the line. Oh, Kuraishi had them worried there. They all had to slide across very quickly.
Yeah, and she definitely seems like the one who's going to make things happen for this Japanese Women's Open side. But there is a roll ball infringement, just loss of control. So Australia will have a good platform to launch if they can keep that ball in hand. I didn't think I'd ever say that about an Australian side.
Well, this match has gone along at a rapid pace. Only 7 minutes left in this first half. Still just one try apiece. Great contest building here at Nottingham. There's now Slattery brings it forward. On the run now for Andresen, the only try scorer here for Australia thus far. Dybel takes it to the left-hand side. They keep it alive. Dybel back to the middle. Oh, clutch play from Japan. The outstretched arms, and it had to be made.
Oh, had to be. Absolutely had to be. Lovely ball manipulation in the midfield. But Australia now, repeat set of 6. We know what happened last time.
So popping a pass wider still. Now for the run of Andreasen. Once more, Andreasen looking for a double. Tries to squeeze between a couple of defenders. Japan got there just in time. So back to the 7 they go now. Options here through the middle for the Emus. Dybel directing traffic. Now hops in at acting half. Releases a short pass here for Norman. Good pressure again from Japan, but now they're strung out on this left-hand side. And Japan again scramble. Make the touch. Back to the 7 for the last one now. Here for the Aussies. Slattery keeping it alive. Nowhere for the Emus to go. And again, well done from the Japanese.
Yeah, they're numbering up really well in defence, almost setting on the outside of the Australian middle shoulders, always prepared to chase out, hips always facing towards those touch lines. At the moment, if you're the defence coach for the Japanese Women's Open, you are a very happy man.
So up towards halfway now, and crossing that threshold go Japan. Now roll it back here through Kasai, and Kasai, and on the follow-up, tipped it on there for Yamagata, but the Aussies had all the measure on that occasion as Dybel brings it up towards halfway. Good little dummy coming in here as well from Carney. Now here for Rachel Jeffs. Files. Back on the middle here for Jeffs. They'll play it quickly. Nice little wrap around from Bryce. Files is there. A nice little shimmy and shake. And she goes in. Lightning Lucia on the board here for Australia.
Yeah, and they slowed the pace down in the midfield just a touch, and then really injected the pace when it was needed. And here's a wraparound, and great hands, draw and pass. The line cut is just too firm, little shimmy of the hips to avoid the touch. Australia pull out the lead.
So it's taken some time here. Less than 5 to go before the break, and Australia finally in front, but this one is certainly not a done deal at all. Japan are still coming for them. They march upfield now. Good touch made.
Yep.
In fact, it's going to be a little bit more than good. It was a little bit too energetic, if you will.
Yeah, foot in the ruck there. It's one of those where you're trying to make that dominant touch by planting that foot in between the opposite players. But the ball's dumped on it, and that's illegal. But that's the loss of control. And Australia, the brilliant defensive nudge.
Maybe just starting to settle a bit here. The Emus, back-to-back tries, and Pan there with an error. Allows Australia now to work forward. So Bryce brings it up towards halfway, and now Files follows suit. Here's Curtis, and then drop down once more here. Susi floats it out wide, or Japan up in the passing lane yet again, and on the last two, that's got to hurt.
Yeah, and took that one in the chops as well. Not sure how much she knew about that ball going outside, but again, Australia get the repeat set of 6.
Curtis, and now all the way wider still here for Norman. Norman drops it down. Curtis again. Norman running it offside markers. Not to play the ball. Wasn't a good one. And there is the turnover here for Japan. So time beginning to run out in this first half. Still very tight. If Japan could snag one more before the break, it is well and truly game on with everything to play for in the second.
Oh, definitely. I mean, even if you can go into half-time only one down, it might be the smallest deficit anyone's had against any Australian side throughout this World Cup. So Japan will be buoyed by their first-half performance, but as you say, a try before half-time, and I mean, you'd lick your lips at that. Unfortunately, though, a little bit of an error in the midfield, and once again, you give this possession to Australia, and they will make you pay.
So scooped up here from Stevens, and then once more hopping in at acting half. Little run here for Carney. Carney slowing it down. Brings it back now for Slattery. Dybel popping a short ball and then instructing her teammates. Dybel now takes off, pops a little pass here for Bryce. Now turn them away once more here, Japan. Great scramble defence approaching the final 2 minutes of this first half. Dybel sends it wider still. Great footwork. Dybel still keeping alive here, throws the pass. But that'll be the turnover here in favour of Japan.
Yeah, good scramble defence from Japan. Willing to match Australia for their physicality and athleticism. Willing to chase out when needed. And just making sure that she's okay. She took the ball right to the side of the head. That's a sore one. But we restart with Japan deep in their own field.
Been a couple of Falcons in this one already. And now Japan driving up towards halfway. Time running out now, just 90 seconds on the clock in this first half. And there's an error. That could just open the door here for Australia right before the break. A crucial set coming up defensively here for Japan. Strong touch as well. Now numbers on this left-hand side, and they all start to sweep on as well here, the Aussies. Wrapping around. Jeff's at first receiver. Floats a little pass here for Mai, the Indigenous All-Stars representative, and Jeffs sums it up beautifully. What a pass that was, right on the money, and Stevens, all she had to do was catch it and fall over the line.
Yeah, and it all comes from that Japanese error in the midfield, and they'll be kicking themselves because Australia go down the other end. What a lovely flat ball at the line that is, and the catch and ground. I mean, it's just superb. And it shows if you're going to try and run this Australia side close, you've got to be perfect in possession. You can't give them free ball.
Well, that's really been what's got Australia back in the game here. A few errors from Japan after a seamless 6 or 7 minute period. And now the Aussies just able to get back into the swing of things here. So the touch is made just shy of the try line. 20 seconds on the clock. Chance here for Japan to get one back just before the break. Bouncing around here is Agino. Turned away once more, and Japan won't be able to add to their tally. Australia, they've clicked into gear here, and it's going to be very tough to breach from this point on.
Yeah, for sure, and you know the hooter goes in Australia just take the touch. But for me, this game, you know, Australia have been not let back into it because they were always going to find their feet, but their first 2 scores came from 2 unforced errors from Japan, giving them the repeat sets of 6 on the line, and Japan will take a lot of confidence going into the second half, but it's those errors in your own red zone that you really need to cut out if you want to run this team close.
Well, it is certainly still a close contest here. All to play for in the second 20. A cracking fixture here in Nottingham for the Touch World Cup 2024. At the break, Australia leading Japan in the Women's Open 3-1. We'll take a short break and back with all the second half action in just a moment.
So what does it mean to you? The time?
Sweat. The passion.
The thrill. The determination.
The support.
The camaraderie.
But it's so much more than that.
We're playing for something bigger.
You ready?
question is,
How are you going to leave your legacy?
I love Nottingham, the home of Robin Hood. From the bright lights of Goose Fair to the peaceful nature of the Sherwood Forest woods. There's a feeling of togetherness, unity, pure, honest, love. And that feels great like a bright summer's day at the horses down by the lake at Colwick Hall. I love Nottingham. The River Trent, the embankment, the Nottingham Carnival, different cultures dancing. The diversity, just walking down Columbus Street on a Saturday. The two lions in the square stand tall with pride. And when the markets in town come alive, it gives me life. Listen, as the council house clock chimes, and depending on how many times, lets you know the time. I've been to concerts at the Motorpoint Arena, and I've been to concerts at the Nottingham Caves. I've been here all my life and I'm still amazed by this place. I love Nottingham. Sometimes I stare at Hockley's graffiti colourful walls, and sometimes I gaze at the deers running around Woolton Hall. Supreme thrills, from chilling up at Green's Mill or up at that castle on the hill. Nottingham, I love you, and I always will.
Visit Nottingham today.
Welcome back here to Nottingham for what is building as the game of the tournament thus far. Japan, not backwards in coming forward, we'll tell you that much. 3-1 at the break. They went out to an early 1-0 lead, and they have really made the Aussies work hard for their lead at the moment.
Oh, for sure. And might be my favourite performance, first half performance so far in this tournament. Just the heart of the Japanese squad. And I've got a feeling if they can defend out this tap-off, put them in good stead for the rest of the game.
Let's see how they fare in this opening set as Australia bring it forward here through Files, and now turn back on the inside here for Andresen. Curtis once more for Files. Oh, a little bit of a connection there with the legs of the Japanese. That could have gone either way, but it will go the way of Japan on this occasion.
Yeah, and I think you need a little bit of luck when you're playing Australia. You've got to ride your luck. You need to have the touch gods on your side, and Japan definitely did then.
So Japan now up over halfway. Good meters here.
Ooh.
And a little stoppage in play momentarily. Quite sure what they've called here. It's going to go against Japan. I think that must be for not playing on the mark.
Yeah, I believe so, but I'm not sure if it was called by the ref or one of the Australian women's players, to be perfectly honest, but it definitely did look off the mark. And
yeah, there it is. It's an interesting one. They just sort of keep walking on.
Yeah, it's one of those errors. You could definitely cut that one out.
Andresen brings it forward, and now the run of Norman. Norman straightens up. Pops a little pass here for Stevens. Stevens on wider still. Now it finds its way to Dybel. Dybel dropping it down about 8 metres away. An option back towards the middle. That's where Dybel is. Oh, sends a pass, and then it just comes spilling out right at the death. Otherwise, it was a fourth here for the Aussies.
Oh, it would have been for sure a fourth. But I really like the bravery from the Japanese winger. Almost said, go on, take my line, but I'm going to guard the pass. And it was almost like that second guess of the link. Just meant that the pass wasn't as crisp to hand as we're used to seeing.
Of course, if you're just joining us, coming into this match, both these teams undefeated. Japan, 38 tries, 8 against. For the Aussies, 69 tries, 1 conceded. But if we actually have a look at the games they've played, because that includes a 5-0 walkover, if you will, for Papua New Guinea, it's 64 tries, 1 conceded in 3 matches. So Japan to be within Kui at the moment is an outstanding effort.
Oh, definitely. And I think Japan, for me, especially in the women's opens division, is the one who looks to really knock down the door of New Zealand and Australia.
Now Australia inside the 7, popping a pass back to the middle. Oh, Jeff sums it up beautifully. Another cracking ball from Rachel Jeffs, right on the money. And 4-1 to the Emus.
The fast hands in the midfield again. See it on the replay. Little link quickie, step back, misses out 3 Japanese players, and then doesn't even look, just throws it on instinct, knows the winger will be hovering around in that corner. A great angle again for the roaming camp. There you go, catch transition as easy as you like.
And the speed of that decision there from Jeffs to catch it and pass almost in the one motion and then rip a ball a good 15 metres. Outstanding skill set. Walsh on the spot. Cross for the try as now Japan turn it over. So 4-1. I want to be next to score here, Japan, just to keep within touching distance.
Yeah, and they've shown that they can. And for me, that first goal from Japan was all about engaging the middles. We need more of that from the Japanese women.
The Jeffs now, quick little tip on play, and look at the speed here from the Aussies. Carney brings it forward, dropping it down. Now a little ball here for Curtis, who sets sail towards the try line. Picked up and scooped here from Susie. Oh, getting very close there in the end. Japan just hang on. Now they're baying for an extra set here, the Emus, and I think they might have had a case.
Yeah, I think they might have had a case, but I also think from the Japanese perspective, there might have been a late pass in there. Looked like the touch came in just as the ball was released. It's one of those calls where either one could have gone either way on another day.
The Japan now working it wide, trying to head up towards the subs box, but they've left it behind and just invite Australia with another good opportunity here in a dangerous position on the field. Files sends it out now for Susie. Susie once more on this right-hand edge this time. Now rolling it back for Stevens. Curtis. Files brings it forward. Quick release here from Curtis once more. Oh, Kim Susie off the left foot. The most experienced player in the Emus lineup. Shows her wares there and adds a fifth for Australia.
Oh, what a big left foot whack in the link hole. We'll see it. Another Roman cam picture. Here we go. Boom. See you later. Send you to the shops. Getting over the whitewash. And it's just Australia almost seem a little bit insulted that they didn't score too many more in the first half and have come out firing in the second.
A point to prove here for the Aussies, it seems like, as now Japan work it forward here with Kasai. Kasai in an acting half once more. Pops a little pass here for Kishi. Kishi runs out of real estate, turned away from the Aussies, and now will play it on that 7-metre mark. Kishi out here for Kasai, who waits at acting half now. Then off at first receiver. Kishi once more. And the Aussies, they've recalibrated things since the break and they look a lot more confident in defence.
Oh, definitely. The intensity and the structure is there. And Australia running sort of a slight saver middle with one of the middles dropping off early. I wonder if Japan can make that read and see if they can pull her out and make that touch.
Good metres here from Australia. Close to being a forceful touch, but play on is the call. As now they go forward here once more with Andreasen. She got the first try for the Emus. We'll pick it up and scoop once more here. Sending it long. Oh, great take above the head. Now wider still. And, geez, that's probably 3 tries that have gone begging here for the Aussies.
Yeah, and some. It's the hands on display again to leap in the air, catch it above your head, almost behind the head in the end, and then the transfer as the feet hit the floor. I mean, from an Australian perspective, you've really kicked into gear in this second half, but Japan have just lost a little bit of that speed in their transition. They need to find it, kick up a gear, leave everything out there on pitch 2.
Yago plays it now. It comes out here for Kamishita. Kamishita dropping it down now. Yago has a backpedaling defensive line, trying to play all the way through. I think she's a bit unlucky there to be pulled back. Australia never really back for the initial contact. Yes, they got there eventually, but you'd like to see it come back for the penalty in that case.
Yeah, definitely. And it's one of those where it's like, you're offside, okay, sir, now I'll take a step and now I'm onside. Well, you've already affected the play by holding in that offside position. So Japan could maybe feel a bit hard done by on that play.
Australia now straightening things back up, and look at this rapid movement from the subs box. The momentum continues to flow here for the Aussies.
Beautiful.
Susie now sending it wider still. Oh, Walsh has a little bit of room to move here. No, a little bit of confusion from both sides. Walsh thought she had an opportunity to keep going through the gap. We'll come back onto the mark now. Now, if it is going to be called late there, you'd have to imagine touch pass.
Surely, right? That's a yeah. Well, referees don't care what we think. They'll play on regardless, but I'm with you there. Could have been a late pass. Probably should have been. Don't tell the Australian coach that.
They are very close to the Australian box, that's for sure. They can probably hear every word as now Curtis comes forward. Oh, lovely change of angle, switching the emphasis, and what a line from Carney. Curtis and Carney, absolutely outstanding here.
It's beautiful. It's just picture perfect. Rapper comes round, almost engages. It's just the little drop off into space. It's perfect. I mean, from a Japanese perspective, what can you do? You're having to defend so many off-the-ball runners. You've got to number up, and there's always going to be space somewhere in Australia. Find it once more.
That was nastier than a very evil insult. It was shockingly good from the Australians. Now Dybel hops it out of acting half as they head up towards halfway and over the mark. Once more clicking into gear here. Look at them go, the Aussies. Slattery for Bryce, but they'll come back onto the mark for an incorrect roll ball.
Yeah, and I think that's a good call for me. Touch come in and it's that extra step after that ball, and you might be thinking, if you're watching Touch for the first time, why does it matter? Trust me, it matters. It is a big advantage. Even the single step could be the difference between getting to the 7 and not. It's a good call from the referee. Robin Budd in the midfield. Great English ref.
Still a rapid pace about this game. Only 12 minutes left, if you can believe it. Already 8 gone in the second. As now once more Kura Ishii brings it forward here for Japan. She's the danger woman. Steps off the right. Floats it back to the middle here for Yago. But finally, they found Kura Ishii's measure.
Yeah, for sure. And for me, the Australian defence have really congested between the middles and the links. From the Japan's perspective, what I'd like to see is maybe you run a link punish to condition that link to hold the width and then come back into the midfield. Just got to ask questions of the Australian team.
Australia up over halfway once more. Walsh and now Jeffs. Good meters here in traffic. Drops it down. Beautiful strike dump as well. Oh, great pass out to Files. Just a little bit too low there, but they picked it well.
Yeah, the passive link play coming off the back of the transition where the far side link just holds a couple metres behind the initial line of attack. It's definitely the right option and lovely creativity from the Emus. Unfortunately, the hands, again, pinch me, am I dreaming? The hands left wanting for an Australian side.
So 6-1 the score. Approaching the final 10 minutes here. If Japan can snag one back, they might just be able to pull this one out of the fire, but they'll have to be pretty much perfect from here on out.
Yeah, and I think you've summed it up really well there. I mean, for the first 15 minutes, they were perfect. And then the mistakes started to creep in. Such is the level you have to play at to compete with this Australian side. And for me, Australia have just kicked up into gear constantly. And they've definitely pulled away with this one.
Files now drops it down. Short pass provided, and then charging forward is Carney. Who then hops in and acting half on the follow-up. Kim Susi brings it forward. Now Bryce looking wide. Oh, sums it up to perfection there from Tiani, Bryce, and Catherine Stevens. Oh, she could have moonwalked over with that much space.
Oh, it's too good. You've got to have a cup of tea as well while you're at it. It's lovely. As we watch the replay, again, it's the options off the ball that make the difference and the accuracy of the hands. And yeah, you could have given us a backflip or something in that space. Come on, celebrate for the camera. It's business as usual for Australia. 6 tries the difference now. I can't quite believe that Japan run them so close in the first half.
Really blown out in favour of the Aussies, but here's a nice little dummy coming in here from Kishi, who picks up extra meterage, and now they'll send it towards the middle here. Kamishita dropping it down now, receives it back once more here. Kamishita at speed, turns away. Well read there from Kim Susi. Short little pass now for Kishi. On now for Kamishita once more. Last one, Kamishita takes off, having a little look at them, but they're just marking up so well here. Bryce makes the touch, and at the moment the Aussies doing it pretty easily now.
Yeah, and again, it's these defensive patterns that Japan are just struggling to break down. The middles are just so athletic for Australia, willing to just chase all the time. And talk about the athleticism. Look at the hands on display, rolling into 5th.
Strike dump here, and now they can keep marching forward. Slattery sends it wide. Or Walsh takes off with a change of speed. Nearly beat them on the outside with no room to work with.
Yeah, trying to drop a goosey. Going around the outside. We've not seen a proper goosey yet on live stream. I'm desperate for it.
Might have missed the work. I think it might have been on day 2 here for Bassard for the French men's open side. He had one of the all-time goosies. Now Japan on the charge forward. If you do have a chance, trying to keep across all the games here at the Touch World Cup, definitely check out the work of Bassard a couple of days ago. Japan are caught here, and the turnover comes for Australia with around about 7.5 to go.
Yeah, good defensive pressure again from Australia. And Japan, we're asking a little bit more questions there. It looked like she was shaping for the switch. Didn't quite come. Pass looked marginally forward. Get away with it.
Now Bryce playing it inside enemy territory as once more they drive forward now. Good meters on offer here for the right of Mai. But now an intercept here for Japan. Off they go, and the crowd is riding her home, but too much speed for Rackerman, who just ate her up. It was like watching Josh Adokar out there for a moment. The Fox is loose in Nottingham.
Oh my word. Look at their pace. It almost just appears out of the picture from nowhere. Japan, good setup now. This is second touch coming, obviously. Intercept is 0.
Mikara Ishii now brings it forward once more. The danger woman here for Japan. Don't quite get the strike jump. I thought that could have gone either way. Maybe a mutual infringement potentially called, but instead, Australia get the benefit, the rub of the green. Out now towards this right-hand side they come, up towards the subs box. Meters on offer for Australia as they keep cycling the footy. Now Andreasen back onto the field, up towards halfway. Still a chance to launch a raid here late in the count as Andreasen stays alive in the play. Turns it back towards the middle once more here. Susi now wider still. Andreasen delivers here. Wraparound play for Curtis. Curtis slowing things momentarily. Carney takes it down on the last now. Curtis at speed, sending it wide. Oh, great scramble there. A nice little slide out from Kanabi, who makes the touch.
Yeah, really nice cover and touch, but once again, the ability of this Australian side to just ship the ball from one side to the other with relative ease. I mean, I don't know many teams that could run this team close. I know New Zealand will give it a good crack.
You know, the Aussies have scored a lot of tries, so too have New Zealand. I believe they've got 96 in 5 matches now, and they've only conceded the 4. So it's an incredible record New Zealand have. You know, these two are the most dominant forces in the world of touch, but they might have a little something to say about that. It's been a good showing from them here. Got a little bit AWOL in the second half, but still plenty of lessons to come away from this match.
Yeah, definitely. And I think if Japan can get another score on the board, they'll take that as almost a win, being able to put the most amount of scores against Australia. And they might have gone over, but it looks like it drifts forward. It does. And heartbreak for Japan.
And for some of the neutrals here who want to see the big guns knocked off, there was a few boos ringing out around Nottingham. Kura Ishii's been terrific for Japan and once more found a good pass there, but it's going to have to be quite literally, as we mentioned so many times, it has to be perfect against Australia.
Yeah, and then but then also to be able to string together a perfect 40 minutes against a team that's going to put you under so much pressure, that's the tall order. You can maybe put it together against a team that's not going to run you as close, but Australia, as they are at the moment, the speed at which the hands go, it's the speed of transition, how quickly the ball is off the floor. I mean, you've got to be perfect against the gold standard of touch.
Gold standard, the green and gold here. Emus, as an animal, only know one way, and that is forward, and certainly we're seeing that here on the pitch as Japan head up over halfway now. Short little pass provided. That's for Kasai, and now Japan with a nice bit of momentum. Back through the middle, Yago was trying to open up some space, but the Aussies once more close it very quickly. And inside the final 4 minutes now, it is a bridge too far for Japan, but that first half, that'll go down in the annals of history here for the World Cup.
Yeah, and again, really good defensive pressure from Japan. Personally, I believe that that's unfortunate not to get the turnover. It looked like a bit of a loss of control. Referee's not happy.
Emus now marching forward. Dybel once more, who's been outstanding in this game. Passes here for Walsh. And just behind Susi there, who couldn't quite reel it in. Under pressure, stepping up, it was Aoyagi. Made enough of her presence known to force the issue.
And Japan have definitely grown into the back end of this second half. They're finding their feet. A bit more similar to what we saw in the first. But I mean, with a 6-try difference, almost got a score, what, 2 a minute to try and equalise, and they're just leaving it a little bit too late. I'd love to see them get another score, though. I think this team thoroughly deserves to be the team to put the most amount of scores against this Australian Women's Open side.
So Yamagata out there now as well as Yamashita. So an option here through the middle. So they've got all the big guns on deck at the moment here, Japan. Kura Ishii out there too. She plays it now. Back here for Kamashita. Kura Ishii. Kamashita now once more. Turning it back for Kura Ishii, who gets across the line. and certainly deserves another try. That's her second of the match, and there is the celebration from Japan. That's how much it means to them.
And that just shows the expectations when you play against Australia. Yes, love it. Love it. And they thoroughly deserve the 2 tries. We see it on the replay. It's the lovely trail line, quite similar to Australia's second, hitting that line back against the grain. And yet, bit of disconnect in the Australian back line, but they won't worry about that too much.
Might have to ask the Japanese what that celebration is as well. It's almost like breaking bread, if you will. So less than 2 minutes to go here. The Aussies getting very close to another try on the board, but 7-2. You called for it, Joe, right, that they deserve to get the most amount of tries against the Emus, and they've done that now.
Yeah, and they're really good value for it. I don't think in recent memory I've seen Australian Women's Open side be run as close as this game. And for me, it's those little errors that Japan have really forced out of the Emus.
Worth pointing out here as well, if you're just joining us, we're so impressed by the Japanese performance because it's been 32 straight wins for Australia on the international stage. So a team that is almost impossible to beat, and Japan gave them a good shake in the first half. Australia running away with it in the second, though, as now they floated a little bit wider here. Japan, as we come inside the final minute, still asking questions.
But that's the difference, right? If that was Australia, that ball would have been crisp in the hand and flicked out to the wing almost immediately in one step. Unfortunately for Japan, it takes those half seconds to get it into the grasp. And that's all too long.
Now Bryce here on the last, stepping back off the left, finding a pass, but well read once more there from Nakayama, who shuts it down. 30 seconds on the clock, probably the final set coming up here. Can Japan get one more on the board? They'll keep driving forward here. Kura Ishii has been outstanding for the Japanese. 2 tries and constantly been a threat with ball in hand. They head up over towards that halfway line now. Meters on offer here for Japan. Last one coming up. Here is the run for Kamishita, who sends it wider still. Goes to ground. And that'll just about do us here at Nottingham.
Yeah, and once again, Australia come away with a win, but nowhere near as comprehensive as what we've seen them do. And I think if you're the likes of New Zealand and, you know, whisper it, England, watching this game, you'll probably pick this apart and try and emulate where Japan were able to put the Emus under pressure.
Just for a little bit of context too, Australia's first match 19-0 against Wales, 20-1 versus Singapore. Round 3 was a walkover with Papua New Guinea having to forfeit, so we won't really look too much into that result. But the last one, 25-0 against Lebanon. So when we talk about being within touching distance of Australia, it is an impressive feat. 7-2 at full time.
Oh, it's so impressive, and Japan will take so many positives from that game. Probably the best performance I've seen against an Australian Women's Open side in recent memory. I can't really think back to any other team that put them under that much pressure and forced that many errors out of them.
Well, even the 2019 World Cup gold medal match, I believe, was 10-2 to Australia over New Zealand. So an outstanding showing here from Japan. They do fall short, though, and Australia make it 33 straight wins on the international stage. But up next, it's a treat for the home fans here. England, they take to our main stage up against the other big heavyweight, New Zealand. We can't wait for this one. Don't you go too far. More action from the Touch World Cup for 2024 in just a moment.